are you not going to do an intro and all that?
My main thing was, I want to highlight kind of how people got into this industry, what they work with, and everything. And I thought you have an interesting background because you kind of didn't even start as a developer. Like, you turned 18 and you went into it. So I don't know. Do you want to speak about like what brought you here today, working for?
If I kind of used to program when I was a kid on like a Commodore 64 and stuff, on that one at the top, that one. Wait, yeah, no, yeah,
Autofocus,
yeah,
yep.
that one, that one. But yeah, and then I kind of stopped, and then I dabbled with like GeoCities and Dreamweaver, like 98, 99. And then I ran websites on and off, learned, like, taught myself PHP, built, and sort of like, we built a website for all my friends, and we used to like take pictures on nights out and go on random road trips and take stupid photos, and my friend would write songs, and it was just like a community website. And then another friend started writing gig reviews, and then all of a sudden we turned into like a music magazine type of thing. And then,
like
so then we kind of like,
yeah,
it just turned into like a music community, and we became like promoters, ran a magazine, we had a podcast back in the day when there were no videos, and podcasts really were just audio over Shoutcast on Winamp and all that kind of stuff. And then the financial crisis killed me, and I ended up living on people's sofas and eating pasta and shit. And then I went back to work in the tobacco industry, and then that all kind of went arse over tit, and then I ended up doing web development again. And then 8 years later, I'm still doing web development. So that hobby I started off as a kid writing BASIC on a Commodore 64's somehow my career. I don't quite get how. It failed last time. It seems to have worked this time. But if shit keeps going round, I'll become a cancer merchant again in a couple of years, don't say that word, sell tobacco products to people, slowly kill people, and then become a developer again in another 10 years. I might just go round in a cycle of doing shit like that. Who knows?
It's an honest profession either way.
Yeah, I can either write code or kill people.
But like, what was the inspiration to say, fuck it, I'm going to be a web dev for you?
Well, like I say, I've always sort of like dabbled at it, and web development's the easy thing. So it's like, I'll be honest, I've always kind of been interested in like weather modeling and things like that, but it's not the sort of thing that you can just, well, I suppose you can do now, but back in like the early 2000s and stuff, it wasn't really something you could just do, sort of thing, because it's like, where do you get the data from? Like now, obviously, these data sets, but so web development was easy. And then, so I've always kind of like, I ran my own e-commerce store, so I'd kind of like, I ran my own shop, so I did all my own customizations and things like that on it on BigCommerce. And then when all that went a bit bad, I had a friend reached out and went, we used to be a PHP developer, learn WordPress, idiot. So I learned WordPress, and yeah, so here we are. So somebody who I introduced to pipe smoking told me to learn WordPress, called me an idiot, and then yeah, here we are.
Do you still find web development easy, or?
It's easy. It's just clients' requirements make it difficult. It's sort of like, in theory it's easy, but it's trying to achieve what the client wants in a way that makes sense. And most of the time, what they want doesn't make sense. So you end up like, I don't know, they want to connect to some EPOS system, and this EPOS is amazing. You do anything on the till system, and it'll update straight away on your website. You want to update something from your website to the till system? Yeah, no, not going to happen. And so you end up having to like just do insane things because the client wants something that isn't technically possible. So it's easy, but doing the things that people want is I can't imagine what it would be like starting now, because everything's sort of, I never kind of learned to do it as a job. So it all kind of like, I just did it for fun. So it was like, I learned HTML, I got to build stupid little websites, and you could copy things, and that was all with tables. And then I discovered PHP, and I found this really useful like guestbook script that showed you how to add an entry, how to edit an entry, and how to delete an entry in a database. And obviously, the things I wrote out of that code were just nearly all the websites I used to run years ago all turned into Viagra adverts. I've got no idea why. Oh, I never knew about sanitization. Who knows about sanitization and escaping things? Just dump it in the database and just echo it out. It'll be fine. It's fine. But yeah, like I say, coming into it now, I won't know where to start, because obviously it's like the difference between web development and app development is very different, and then also like not even like just phone apps and things, like website apps. It's like the massive difference between a lot of websites. They aren't websites. They're a full on. They're an application that kind of runs on a web page. So it's like if I came into it now, it's like I don't know where to start. Like nobody really builds websites, but we do. But yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah. I honestly wouldn't know where to. If I was coming into it now, I wouldn't know where to start.
Did you have juniors like recently, or is it more senior developers that just join your team?
We don't have any juniors. It's everybody's a senior basically.
Yeah, I think that's a blessing in the curse, because I had to work a lot with juniors. I even had, my intern in like 2022, and a lot of the devs here just go into this tester into like more senior tester and so on, and then they go into junior dev. And well, this is good. It gives you ideas. It's also kind of like I have no idea about code. Like, teach me. And a lot of the people actually transitioning into junior dev that way, I felt that they were quite eager to learn. Obviously, my sample size is small, but you go into this with this eagerness, and then you have so many resources and tools nowadays that you just go like, holy shit, I can do all of this. So you see them. And I remember giving him a task, and he goes in and he makes it very complicated, abstractions, all the different classes, transformers. I was like, dude, I just want you to add the filter. You don't have to go that deep.
It'd be nice to work with somebody junior. In fact, even the jobs where I've worked with you, when we worked at Hallam, we didn't have juniors on engineering, did we? There was basically all sort of mid-level.
Yeah.
And it was the same when I went to AdTrack afterwards. Like, engineering was two of us. That was it. It's basically like there is no junior there. It's like, there you go, deal with it.
And it's a bit weird because, technically, I guess we can name names anyway. But like Harry would essentially be someone more junior, because his first proper dev job, as far as I remember, was Hallam, right? And he had his training there. He actually got into stuff, but you wouldn't necessarily call him a junior, because the stuff he cared about, he actually knew, like the whole accessibility things, and he was passionate about it. But more in a more traditional, I would say, corporate environment, you would be like, oh, you're just a junior dev. You don't know how to, I don't know, do full one-page applications with React or whatever we were doing 2017.
No, we were trying to do that with fucking WordPress. There's a plugin for that.
Or the other shit that just you installed it and saved the static page of your website, and then it just cast it and you couldn't remove that shit. That was my other favorite one. Oh, we have a static site for performance.
Oh, don't. I've been doing performance optimizations at work for the past 2 weeks. Don't talk about performance.
So that was a good thing, and the headache also with working with completely web applications. Because, in one of the cases it was like, look, we have a heavy process. The user is logged in. They want to run their test. This was me at Tricentis.
But wait.
Yeah, it's like they just need to know that something is happening, and they get the result at the end. And then at my next role at Cognism, it was the exact opposite. It's like, I need data now, bro. Time is money. And then it just gets insane, like, because website optimization means something completely different depending on the industry.
Yeah.
Like, again, with websites, I'm guessing Google is still the golden standard.
Yeah. Like, oh no, that's the thing. It's like we're trying to optimize it for like the mobile throttle 3G score, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, then just have even a plain white static page only gets like 70-80% on that for that this motherfucking website. Like, you want our site to have the same score as this motherfucking website on mobile optimization testing. To be honest, I think we as developers are to blame for this. If we put our foot down when they went, pages need to load slower than a second, we've gone, can't fucking happen, jog on. If we'd stuck to our guns and demanded that, we wouldn't be in this mess. But we didn't. We buckled down and went, yes, of course, we'll do that. We'll see what we can do. We'll try. Maybe if we up to... No, we should have just said no at the start. God, fuck you. No, we can't do that shit. But we didn't. So we made our beds and here we are sleeping in them.
I actually have a funny story about this. So we have this website built, and they don't tell us anything. They just need the gallery section, whatever. We even outsourced that. They start driving SEO traffic with and using the gallery as a landing page. Now they also wanted to boost their content, so they start uploading like high-res images, like we're talking 4K plus, no compression or nothing. So I think the page was something like 100 megabytes. I shit you not. And people would go there, and after like maybe 10 people visiting the site, it would crash. Like the whole server, because it was too many resources to just be loading constantly. We keep getting warnings, the site is down. We get the SEO people, account managers coming down, fix this. So we do some optimizations, and it actually loads in 2.7 seconds with all the stupid high-res images. It doesn't crash the server, and it's like, but it's not fast enough. And I was like, I reduced the loading time by 90%. It doesn't kill the server. Like, if you want it faster, it just cannot look like this.
Don't do it. Yeah.
And they were like, but I don't care. I want to work. And I was like, I'm putting my foot down, and it's still not fucking working. Like, people don't get that. It's not physically possible to make it better.
Yeah, like I say, just the joys. But hey, be a developer, they said. It's fun, they said.
No, I mean, even as a project manager, like, I put my foot down, and I was like, no, this is a stupid idea. We shouldn't be spending budget on it. And people just fucking hated me. They were like, let us work on this. I was like, no, this is stupid. Because they were describing to me something that was like a separate product. And I was like, no, you're not doing this. And I got called, and they were like, why are you blocking them? And I was like, because it's a stupid idea. What do you mean, why?
Yeah.
That's part of the thing too, because we all come with the stories from the industry, and with working out there, developers or project managers, designers, and that's kind of what I'm interested about, because you hear a lot of the things that are very big generalizations, but obviously it comes from an actual anecdote or something you had to deal with.
Yep. Oh no, it's all fun and challenging. That's the one thing though that I've never been tempted to move into, though, project management. I don't think I could do it. I think I'd drive myself insane.
I kind of naturally fell into this because I was doing hands-on programming, but then I did a lot of the admin shit too. But then actually finding a job as a project manager, it gets tricky because people expect different things. Like in my last role, I didn't have to run a Jira board. I didn't have to care about Scrum. I was just there to make sure all the project paperwork was on point, and we didn't have blockers and everything. But then you have others. It's like, no, you have to lead the Scrum ceremonies. You have to set up Jira. You have to set up this. And it's like, okay, fine.
No, I can obviously project manage myself because I'm a contractor. But it's sort of like even when we've done like outside of like Hallam and stuff, when we've worked on things on Codable, I even find that challenging. And it's like, it's me, you, and Dave. Yeah. It's like three people, and you've got, just make sure this person's doing that. It's like, no. I can't be doing this. Just give me a ticket, me do ticket, me finish ticket, move ticket. That's all I want, is just give me a ticket, I'll do it, and I'll do the next ticket. Just keep stacking them tickets up in front of me, and I'll just keep battling my way through them. That works for me, and it's nice. I'm not competing with other people for those tickets anymore, thankfully. So,
want to talk about that, by the way? How different it is now to compete for jobs.
It's changed a lot. I don't know if that's just like more developers, or there's just less jobs around, or
Yeah, because I've heard it from other friends as well who are designers, so it's even different. And on different platforms that not only got more competitive, it's also kind of hard to get into something in time. Like by the time you get to respond to something, you just see like 3 responses, and it's the same person responding to other 5 tickets, and yeah.
Yeah, that's what always used to catch me up on it. It's like if you're working on something, you head down because you're working on like for a really short period of time. So you've got to get your head around the whole code base, figure out what you're doing, and focus. And then, but if at the same time you're trying to set up your next tasks, it gets really awkward because if you're not quick at answering, somebody's going to beat you to it, and you've lost it. And that's the thing I dislike about that. Um, but I suppose just better management, having a lackey that goes out and does all that interacting is nice. And again, then it's just like give me tickets. I'll just work my way through tickets. But yeah, I don't know. It's still an amazing platform, and yeah, I actually don't know what I'd be doing if I'll probably be at some other agency doing the same kind of thing I'm doing now, but getting paid the glorious UK agency wages.
25K per year.
Pretty much. I even looked so like senior roles like 35 grand a year, and you're like, oh my god.
You know, this is actually really funny because when I was leaving the UK 6 years ago, almost now, senior roles were still 35K. Like,
yeah, nothing's changed. No, it's still exactly the same. It's just like, yeah. And then you look at what people get paid in other countries as well, and it's just madness. But hey, we're gonna become Europe's central place for AI stuff because everybody's gonna want to come and get paid UK wages for working on tech in the UK.
I mean, that being said, I would still get like the way I'm now. I would still take the 35K and work with British people than what I'm experiencing here. And because it's like too much outsourcing to many corporations that are not really having any reason to be here in the first place. They just go for cheap labor, and which I totally get. But it's like you start getting into all of this American company culture and rules and everything without any of the benefits of actually living in the US. Like, you know, in the sense, the role I was doing for an American company here was paying me 60,000 euros or something like that. If I was doing in the US, it would be triple that. And I still had the same, you have to be in the office. I still had the same, you know, restrictions that a person actually being in the US. And it's like, a lot of people here locally get a lot of titles. So you get a lot of principal engineers, and then the talent pool gets completely saturated. Like most of the job postings are like juniors. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Like I was saying to you earlier, it's sort of like before the mass exodus at Automatic, there was loads of jobs in like the higher end WordPress sort of like ecosystem, but they've all now gone. And yeah.
Do you have like a dream role?
I'm just happy making stuff. I mean, at the moment, I've always sort of like worked on like fixes and things like that. It's nice to have like a long-term project. So I would quite like to be more of a product engineer rather than I'm just a glorified like debugging and feature engineer at the end of the day. That's sort of like what my job is. I'd like to have sort of like a code base, a project, or a number of projects that I get to live basically, and it's like constantly there. You understand it. Because I say the biggest problem is like I work on something, I pull it down, I clone it, I look at it, I spend a bit of time figuring out what I'm working on and like what's in its context and everything else, and then I work on something else, and then a year later I come back, but I know nothing about this site, and you often inadvertently break things because you just don't know. It'd be nice to, just have a product that you just live basically, and that's sort of less. But then again, that's the grass is greener on the other side. I'm assuming if I've been doing that for years, I'd be like, it'd be really, really nice to just fix issues and do small little fixes and not understand the technical debt of this project to such a level that it keeps you awake at night. Because I suspect that's what exists on that side of the hill. But still, it looks greener than where I am.
And do you have any preferences on tech stack, or is it just like whatever?
No, I mean, what I guess lamp isn't the right term anymore, but in essence it is. I'm happy with a PHP backend and then the front end running whatever flavor of the week of JavaScript it is, as long as I can do enough to make it work, and whoever set it up, I can just run npm install, npm run build, and shit works. I don't care.
A lot of the languages, get traction on Twitter and stuff. Did you ever consider just moving to Rust and say fuck everything and moving on to new greener pastures?
Well, no. I mean, I kind of have thought about it, but it's sort of like you're just stuck of like web development, and you're like, okay, so I've started learning Go, and it's like, what do I want to do? Like, I don't. It's like you do the basic introduction, and then you try and make something a little bit more complicated, and then you go, but what do I want to make? Like, I don't. If I could think of something to build, I could do it, but I can never think of a project. I just need something that makes you want to make it, rather than like, I'm just making this because I want to learn this language. It's like, but I don't know what to make when I get there. So
Yeah, I totally get it. I have the same, and it's like I get an idea. Oh, I'm going to build this, and then I see it as an opportunity to use a new language or whatever, and then I spend more time trying to figure out the language rather than build what I want to build. So it just kind of dies.
and then you also have the problem that you know too much of other languages when you go into it. So you're like, you do the basic tutorial, and then you go, oh right, so how do I abstract this? And then you get into this hell where you like, no, just build god awful stuff to start off with. But you can't, you look at it and go, that's wrong, and you find yourself looking up for like coding standards for a language you learned, and you're like, you're just learning the tutorials. You don't need to look up the coding standards. I'm like, what's the correct way to structure a comment? I'm like, oh, why am I doing this? I was just supposed to be learning a language.
So since I do believe it's really cool shit, do you want to talk about Perique?
It started as a way of like being able to reuse code written for other people. So it's sort of an abuse of open source in a way, but sort of isn't. And then it turned into its own thing. So yeah, so it's basically a plugin framework that MVC isn't quite right, because that isn't how WordPress works. But it lets you build stuff for WordPress, but in more of a way of like a queue, like a DI injected queue loader sort of thing. So yeah, rather than you doing it the standard WordPress way, everything kind of like gets injected through and like run through its own loader and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just sort of like a nice way of like building stuff for WordPress, but using more modern standards. So everything's like done by dependency injection. So everything can be tested and everything can be mocked and changed out, and everything kind of builds on. But yeah, that's like, technically it's not been used on a project for nearly 4 years, yet I'm still continually doing updates for it.
I have to say though, when I used Perique, it was actually really fucking comfortable, especially going back into WordPress after years. The fact that I didn't have to care about anything what WordPress is doing and you were handling the rest, it was actually very comfy.
But like you say, so many people have a problem with WordPress because it's old. I mean, that's just in the core. I mean, it's a nightmare to deal with, but it's like, yeah, but those people that have that attitude and are snobbish about it and say, I only use Laravel, I only use Symfony, I only write Laminar and things like that. It's like, they're just the same as the dickheads that won't write PHP because it's an old, insecure, old language. It's like, yeah, the code base of WordPress is awful, but it's been going for what, 20 odd years, 20 plus years now, and it's just, everything still works, and they just add more shit. It's like, the code base is awful, you use globals, it's hell at times, but if you clean and you write good code, it doesn't matter. You're interacting with that system. You don't have to like interact technically. Like, you can write an entire application that just hooks into the cycle of WordPress. Like, I mean, I've done it with that app I made that runs off Angular. Like, all WordPress does is it gives you the sign-in screen, and on sign-in, the theme is one PHP file. And all that does is looks at it and says, are you logged in? Yeah, you are. There's your application. And that's it. It's like, I barely touch anything WordPress wise. But yeah, people are dicks about it. I mean, I get it. It is people write awful stuff in WordPress. People write awful stuff in every language.
Yeah, I mean, garbage code exists everywhere.
Yeah, it's like if you clean about what you do, you can write good code.
So I would like your take on this. Actually, I was speaking to a manager once, big corpo guy, Californian, and all. I was thinking about my WordPress experience, and his take on this was that he would never hire a WordPress developer to do non-WordPress jobs, but at the same time, a WordPress developer moving on from WordPress has a really good skill set because you have to balance so many dependencies and things. Like you said, that things break because you have no idea, and it's stuff you haven't coded or haven't touched.
It happens everywhere. Even people I work with now have gone, I've worked with WordPress for so long, my CV's fucked. I've worked with WordPress for so long, I go to a place that does Laravel or Symfony or any other PHP place, they'll look at that and go, oh, you're just a script kiddie that just copies stuff. And like you say, it's like, it's not. It's like, not only that, you're having to deal with shit coming out of globals, sessions stored in a database. It's like, it's not just you're doing that as well as writing your own code and all the other plugins, everything else is all happening. It's like, it's not like you have to juggle so much more. It's not like on the Laravel thing where you can look at it and go, oh, the problem's here. Oh, there's fact trace. Ah, I see what's happening now. You've now got an issue on WordPress where you go in, the fuck's going off? And then you look at it and there's some hook that's firing off from some other plugin somewhere that's shafting you.
Yeah, and like, even from my experience, right? Essentially, I went into this. I worked with random PHP shit. I did the Hallam thing, which was PHP proto DevOps kind of thing, architecture, project management. But then essentially, when I started to apply for other roles, like I remember there was like these events up in London. They were like, well, "Do you even know how to write PHP?" And it was kind of funny because all that negativity and like the PHP racism. It was actually quite difficult, but if you sit back and you think how much shit you have to deal with and how much more social you have to be, especially in agencies, and the deadlines and the tools you get, it's kind of insane comparing to like a product dev, and it's about kind of making them understand it. And once that kind of clicked, I went into Salesforce, I went into like product PHP with Symfony and a bunch of other stuff, and it didn't really stop me. But like that initial thing from I go from being a WordPress guy into I work with other things now, I go into product. It was such a shift in mindset, and not just mine, like people I was interviewing with.
The only saving grace is there's always stuff out there to be done, like completely written, pretty much Symfony apps running on top of WordPress and things like that. I mean, it's a load of the tooling's the same, but yeah, nobody will believe it because they saw some code somebody wrote years ago on their first WordPress website where they'd copy and pasted some stuff into a theme.
Like, I seriously believe that a lot of the bad press is like because people, when the internet became popular, picked up PHP, which was the popular thing and easiest thing, and just built something that, it wasn't good. It's crap. But it was also
that was the old internet.
Yeah, and it was also much easier than, making something .NET, because to do .NET you need to have like a university degree.
No, the same thing. I wanted to learn like dynamic web development, and it's like JSP, ASP, PHP. So you look into it, JSP. Oh, I need a load of tools and some proper like Java, like some way of hosting Java and injecting that somehow. Looked at ASP. Oh, I need to get a proper like .NET server and all this stuff. Oh, PHP. I can get a host that puts me a crappy advert banner at the bottom for free. Like, I'm going to learn PHP. I miss the old no one gives a fuck days of the internet.
Yeah, like I didn't really exist in those times. Like Greece barely had the internet in like 2005. But a big thing for me is like I really missed when I was starting to get into the whole thing that development was a bit more, not necessarily open, but like you didn't have that many snobs going into it and gatekeeping people for no particular reason. And that's kind of what I miss the most, because companies now, no training budget, they expect someone to go in and be productive and push production code like week one, and it's just not feasible unless you actually put the effort and have your docs, have your onboarding, like have everything working, which is not the case. and they're just like, oh yeah, we need someone senior who just goes in, and then you just make such an unfriendly place for everyone. At the end of the day, nobody makes shit. One of the best projects I worked at had a singular makefile, and when you just run make the project, I don't remember exactly the command, it installed everything, added all dependencies, added all the stuff to host, and you waited like half an hour and you had the whole application up and running. And that was the onboarding docs, like run this. And then, okay, the rest of the project wasn't as well documented, fine. But the fact that you could set up something so easily and you had context and the code was well written and then you still had some sort of wiki, it was amazing. I've never seen it anywhere, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. There's such a focus on like penny pinching, but then you don't spend money on like docs, onboarding. I seriously don't understand how some companies work when you have a service that you built 2 years ago, because obviously you're not touching it all the time.
Same with tests. Like, a lot of places don't write tests. Why would you write tests? They waste time. And it's like, nobody needs to be told the reasons, the justifications for it. It's like, you write tests so shit doesn't break at the end of the day. It's like, but yeah, like, don't do that. It takes too much time.
Do you want to plug anything and we can wrap up?
No? No, not really.
Okay, I'm going to put like a link to Perique in the description.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Very beautifully done project. I think more people should look at it.
Yeah, it has some docs as well. It actually has docs, mostly.
Really docs.
Yeah, they're written by some dyslexic moron from the UK. So just don't expect it to be in formal English. Just try and say it in a voice like mine or something, and then it might make sense.
I checked them; they're more than fine.
Cool.